I gotta say this before I get started on this, and I'm gonna try to make this short as possible because it's not necessary to be this long. When I was at maybe 19 or 20, I say about roughly 19, about to turn 20, when I finished high school, I left high school very late. When I went to go to trade school, I went to FedCap, learn electronics. Back then, it was very early. Computers that exist now didn't exist back then. It was still 386. But when I went to FedCap, I met someone there. He worked at the Pentagon. I had to remember, it's been quite a long time since I thought about him. He told me something I've always remembered. I just didn't think about him. But he told me something. If you want people to see your point of view, that's never going to happen. The only thing you can do is tell them what you know and let them make up their own damn mind. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, that's the same thing. No, it's not. Seeing your point of view, many people at this day and age, now it doesn't mean the same anymore. When I learned that back when I was about 19, turning 20, it meant seeing your point of view, you discuss, you go back and forth in the debate, and then hopefully both sides will say, okay, I do see a little bit of your point, but this is my point, and the same back. Now you can't do that, particularly in wrestling. They want it the way they want it. And seeing what's in front of you, people don't want to see it. I've been saying for more than a year and a half, literally saying it more than 2 years actually, but a year and a half is when I've really been trying to push it. When you see these companies get absorbed by corporations, they don't give two damn flips what happens. Only thing they care about is this. And they don't care if they're still doing wrestling. Like I keep saying, there is producing wrestling and there's using wrestling to make money. That's what we've been getting lately from WWE, from Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. Now you got TNA mixed in with it, which you can tell TNA cares more about the exposure than actually caring about their own respect, in a sense. Now you look at AEW, which is not owned by a corporation, but legitimately, it's almost suffering from the same damn thing. You have someone who's worked in corporate. Tony Khan from the Khan family. Yes, they own the Jaguar. Yes, they own other properties. Tony understands what it means to be a businessman. He's not a wrestling promoter. He became one, yes, but he was not a wrestling promoter. He was a fan. And now you see how a fan who is a businessman runs a company. Because if you look at the past, you literally see when the Bucks, I'm not saying they were perfect, but they cared only about tag team wrestling. Then you got Cody Rhodes, who cared about having good stories, and unfortunately not very good, a Kenny Omega who booked the women, and it wasn't that good. But you did have Cody, who did book decently okay stories. They weren't the best, but they were there. And you had the Bucks, who wanted tag team wrestling to be the focus. This company cares more about being a business than caring about being a promotion. And I'm telling you now, what I'm about to say is the truth. I'm just going to say it for you. It's up to you to make you open your damn minds. But you see I'm getting angry here because of what I just saw. I'm going to tell you the truth. It'll be up to you to make up your own damn minds if you like it or not. But it's still important to know I'm not wrong. Opening of the show. Gates of Agony versus the tag champs. After what happened in All Out, they chose not to build Brody King or Bandito. They chose not to build them. They chose not to begin to make a story for them. They chose just to throw them out with the Gates of Agony to do a match. Now I know they showed a vid pack to try and justify this with Ricochet saying that Shibata's injured. They can't do anything, so they gave us this. Bullshit. They could have done something else for the tag champs and for Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. They could have done something else. They need this match. They could have built up the demand, as they're being called now. They could have built them up. No. Chose not to. They just threw them out with a match. And understand, the match is not the problem. All the matches here were generally good. When you see Bandito, this is what people don't understand. You sometimes, when you stick two guys together, even if they don't look like they'll work, they can work. Bandito's charismatic. When he was going up against Tonga, and he kept avoiding hitting, and he's doing the damn Macarena in the ring, it was entertaining. And you would think, showing that he's entertaining, you would begin to book him. You would book him like he means something, not just throw him into matches. No, this is what we get. No build. The champs win. Who cares? And that angers me. Next. Whoo! This one angered me so bad. This one, it didn't break me. But I promise you I was pissed. The moment I'm writing down, and I knew Hangman Page was going to wrestle. I didn't know when. The last time we saw Hangman Page, he was in the ring and did the second match of the night. Now, that is not the right place to put your current champion who makes you the most money. You're not supposed to put him into second match of the night. Either the first match, counting out there's a really big main event, or the last match. Because usually this is how you make hype to get people to care. No. He was the second freaking match of the night. And guess what? No build for Hangman Page. He goes up and says, I want to do an open challenge. Since now Sami Zayn's doing an open challenge, they decided to make him do an open challenge. And now the open challenge is at the second match of the night. And it's Lee Moriarty. Let me say that shit again. Lee Moriarty. What the fuck? A guy from ROH who means nothing as a pure champion. Nothing. And that takes nothing away from Lee Moriarty. They booked him as nothing. And you stick him in a match with no build where you could make the pure champion mean something. You could make Hangman mean something. No. Hangman means nothing. Lee Moriarty means nothing. How much of a build you had? Maybe one day. Two at the most. We get this match. It's not the point if it's good or not. It was fine. Lee loses. And it's obvious he was going to lose. You couldn't even make him mean something. AEW. You couldn't even make your pure champion mean something. Isn't ROH supposed to be cared about? I'm glad they don't show them much. I mean, yes, Bandito's shown, which I wish he would drop the damn title. But now you bring out Lee. And he is the pure champion. And instead of taking a week or two to build up Lee, let him come on the show. Show that he has earned the right to have this match. You just throw this match out means fucking nothing. I'm angry. I'm angry that Lee is treated like shit. I'm angry that Hangman's treated like shit. Let's move on to the next match. The third of 4 matches. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Claudio Castagnoli. Why? At this time, they have eliminated Shibata. So they can't do anything with the trio's title. Instead of Tony saying, I'm going to strip you of the titles because Shibata's injured. No, they keep the titles on the Ops. And now you have a match between these two behemoths in the ring, which was not a bad match. But then I think about what I saw when I first watched the opening of that. When Claudio walked out. You guys tell me below what you thought when you saw Claudio. Because he didn't look mean because he was waiting to fight Powerhouse Hobbs. I've seen Claudio since 2013. And I can tell you, even though he doesn't show it much, it is very rare to see him be frustrated. You can see on his face. Claudio's frustrated. The rumors about him not being talked to by Tony because of his contract. Don't know if it's real. But if it is, I can understand why he looks frustrated. What is he gaining? Let me give it to you like this. When ROH was absorbed by AEW, and when he had that feud with Eddie Kingston, that was the best booking I've ever seen for Claudio in AEW. Flat out, no 100% stop. That was the best booking he's ever had. Since he's been in the Death Riders, he's been going like this, and he's done nothing since then. He deserves so much better. He feels like when he was with Vince, and Vince really didn't give a fuck about him. Not one damn bit. He didn't know what to do with him when he won the Battle Royal, the first inaugural Andre the Giant Battle Royal. He's the first one who won it, and he was with Paul Heyman, and now he went from that where he was nothing, and he had to work his ass off to work with Sheamus, and then work his ass off again. He worked with Cena, and he worked his ass off with anybody else until he was released, and then he brought here, where it looks like they finally were going to give him something to show respect, to give him more than what he got in WWE, and he worked with Eddie. And that was a very good story. Even more for Eddie than it was for Claudio, because Claudio was champ, Eddie never been champ. You could see a real story. This means nothing. Hobbs meant nothing. And even though they brought out the rest of the Ops, they brought out the rest of the Death Riders, I'm like, what, why? Next. This was even stupider. A trios match. You have the Don Callis family. You got Kateska, Okada, and Hedgesero versus Mark, who made no sense after he won against MJF, who should have gave up his contract to Mark Briscoe. It's not the point if you wanted to see Mark there. They needed some type of stipulation. They had nothing except for the thumbtacks and tables, which it was good, but they deserved to have that contract put on the line. You look at Hologram. I don't care about Hologram. He's won, 34 matches, don't matter. But what pissed me off more than anything, they've been teasing it, yes. Orange Cassidy coming back, and instead of being important, they made him stand inside of Don Callis' picture that supposedly he made, the last one where Kyle Fletcher, where Kyle was butt naked and Don's was right next to him, and he's wrapped around with the TNT title belt because he wants to have some type of clout left over from the time when he could wrestle but he can't. You got Orange Cassidy coming out from behind, not even behind a picture. They wouldn't even make a picture that Don supposedly got or drew, and for at least Orange to burst through it to make it mean something. No. The picture's gone, and he just walks through. And then you see Rocky Romero run at him, miss him, and he had to run really fast to make it look good, and then he goes in through the cabinet in the back. And I'm like, smack to the face. It doesn't really matter about the win. And the kicker is, instead of letting Orange win, which would make the best sense because they want to do something with Kyle Fletcher, you make Hologram win. Really? And I'm not even saying that's right to do. I'm not even saying it's right to have Orange as the winner if they were going to start building Kyle to go up against somebody. But Hologram, who is just a spot guy, yes, he's got 34 wins. What does that mean? Nothing to Kyle Fletcher, who wants to make sure that he's the greatest. And you're going to say, dude, that's the reason why. Because Kyle Fletcher wants to face the greatest. Hologram is the best. Now they're going to do streak versus title. Well, guess what? Do you actually believe Kyle is going to lose here? This is supposed to be next year. Not next year. Next week. For the 6th-year anniversary of Dynamite. Are you really believing that there's a chance that Hologram is going to win and he's going to be one to become TNT champion. No, it's too predictable. Legitimately, if I'm wrong, fine. I will say it on that show next week, not tomorrow, next week. I was wrong. They let Hologram win. You see I'm angry. I'm botching now. You see I'm angry. I'm legitimately angry. This is bullshit. You could have let Orange win this. You didn't even have to have Kyle come out. You could have had Kyle mess with the Don Callis family. And then eventually, after several weeks to maybe a month, you finally bring Kyle in to address it. But no. You have Kyle come out immediately and address Hologram, who doesn't even look like he's the right person to deal with. And I'm not even going to say, dude, you just let Hologram lose and then it'll be Orange. Well, guess what? He shouldn't have had that match. He shouldn't have had a trios match against Don Callis family. He should have been allowed to come back without anyone realizing it and these stupid teases, and he could have just walked out if the Don Callis family was going to attack everyone that was in the ring, and it would have been better. It feels lazy. Next. Chris Statlander, and this is the last match, versus Miya Shirakawa, who is the interim television champion of ROH. The interim. So someone got hurt, and they decided to do a match where she would become the interim champion. Why couldn't she just be the champ? We went through this with Toni Storm. It was stupid then. It is stupid now to do an interim champion. It's stupid. But we get this match with Miya. And understand, I love Mina. Mina Shirakawa, she has character. Yeah, I know she got big, nice tits. It's not the point. She does have character. Unlike most Japanese wrestlers that they not even allowed to let her talk, because you got Mina Shirakawa that can talk. You got Emi Sakura who can talk. You got Hiro Kushida. She can talk, but they never let them talk. They just acted like they couldn't talk. At least with Miya, they allowed her to let her talk. And she has personality. But did I believe that she was going to lose? I mean, well, technically I did know she was going to lose to Chris Statlander, because I didn't buy that she was going to lose her title now. She just won it Saturday. And instead of building up Chris Statlander for the next couple of weeks, with at least a month to give her someone to go up against, to build up the anticipation of the Death Riders, no. Mina Shirakawa got beat. Wheeler Yuta showed up in the very beginning of the match. Well, when she was going out there, he tried to encourage her. Again, he comes out. Harley Cameron comes out. She is faced by the Death Riders. What did we get? A very predictable situation, because I could see it a mile away when he's hugging her after she let him raise her hand. She stares at Harley Cameron, and what happened? While she's being held in the hand by Wheeler Yuta, I expected him to get his head taken off by her. And what happened? Exactly that. I knew she was not going to become a heel. I knew that they weren't going to do it. It was too predictable because they made it so obvious, because they didn't build it. And then we get, what do we get? We get, guess who coming out? You get him coming out with a flamethrower. You get Darby Allin coming out with a flamethrower, and he says at Wrestle Dream he wants an I Quit match. Let me give you like this, and there's still more to talk about. I'm not finished yet, but let me give you like this. Clean my eye from all the itchiness from my allergies. You only have one story, AEW. One real story. One. And that's Moxley and Allin. And even though we got a good video from MJF saying he's going to go away and come back really redefined, still, that was after All Out, still stuck with thumbtacks in his body. Literally, still thumbtacks in his arm, thumbtacks in his ass, in his elbow pads, in his boots. He had just finished the match, and he did the promo. I'll give him that. Not everyone can do that. He did that. But the only real story you have is Moxley and Allin in an I Quit match, where the only option now at this point to end this feud between the two is let Moxley lose and take a break for a while. And then what happens to Allin? You can say he can go for the world title picture, but Allin doesn't feel legitimate because no one else around him does. You got Moxley here. You got Allin. You got everyone here. And I'm not exaggerating where my hand is. You see my hand here? They're not here at bare minimum. They're below this. This is bullshit. FTR. Did I like the segment? I don't even know what I was watching. You had Willow Nightingale come out to try and justify what happened to Beth being destroyed by FTR. And understand this. That's not a bad story. That's not a bad story. I'm fine with it. It's not a bad story. But then you have this segment with Christian and Cope. And Cope is asked what's going on with Beth. Doesn't know. He packs his stuff and he tells Daddy that he's got to leave. He doesn't know if he's coming back because he can't keep this up anymore. He's hurt his family. And Christian says, you know what? I don't have a family anymore, but you go take care of yours. And he says, no. You still have a family. He shakes his hand and then he leaves. So what are we getting here now? What does this mean? FTR needs to be dealing with Copeland and Christian. And now you're saying that you're going to make Copeland go away for a bit so it can be dealing with what happened with Beth, who, if she's not signed, she should be signed because it makes sense if she was. But then what do you do with Christian now? And here's the thing that gets me the best. Here's the thing. It's bad enough you had your champion in an open challenge without building him. It's bad enough that the booking here is so predictable that I was able to see literally a mile away Chris Statlander clotheslining Wheeler Yuta because you didn't give it time to build properly. And I didn't believe in 1 minute that Wheeler Yuta had convinced her because you didn't make it possible for me to believe. You're now going to do an I Quit match between two people who are at this point having the strongest story you have that you want to show. And now at Wrestle Dream, by the end of October, you're going to give them an I Quit match. And the really only option you got is to have one of them go away for a while because if one stays after the I Quit match, it is a freaking joke. But what makes this worse? They now announce tag titles. That's right. The women's tag titles have now been announced. And what did we get? We get you get Renee Paquette introducing them, taking off the silk cloth, and you see the women's AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. They finally introduced them. We wondered when they were going to do it, and now they're going to do it. And guess what? Do I believe they're going to book these women correctly? Frick no. We have not gotten women's booking correct for the world title, the TBS title. Hell, look at what's going on. There's only been one title that has been booked correctly, and that was Athena. And instead of her dropping the title and becoming the first, well, not first, but the new AEW Women's title champion or the new AEW TBS champion, she's still stuck with the Forever Championship because they have no interest in letting her drop it. Do I actually believe they're going to book these women correctly when it comes to the tag titles? No. Unless there's some type of major change, I don't see it. Let's make this clear. You see the title of this video. They got nothing except Moxley and Allin. And everything else is bad booking. They badly booked the champion. They badly booked Hangman Page. They barely booked anybody else. Now you got new women's tag titles coming out. And you're not even booking the women correctly. Do I actually care about me and Shirakawa being, and I say this again, the interim champion. When the last time they did an interim championship, which was with, if I'm right, Toni Storm, no one liked it. Everyone believed that interim championship was wrong. And now you have Mina Shirakawa as the interim ROH TV champion. It means nothing. This booking is ridiculously confusing and so bad. I still love AEW, and I'm telling you guys, look at what's in front of you. There are people who say you're wrong. Give me a reason why I'm wrong. Leave comments below. Tell me why I'm wrong. Because as it stands right now, this booking is bad. This is not about the wrestling itself. If you love the wrestling, more power to you. But there are people who want story. Do not get it twisted. Your dream of having the greatest matches, you can get them, but your wrestling company sucks. And that's also my wrestling company. But at least I'm honest enough to say the stories are bad. The wrestling is good. But that's not enough. That is the reason why there's so many people that have been abandoning it. Peace.